Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our latest webinar. Today we'll be talking about a new prosthetic hand on the market. We'll have Giovanni Zappatore from BionIT Labs join us, go through the ins and outs of the Adams hand, how it's different from what's already on the market, and we'll be here to answer any questions that you might have, talk through reimbursement, how the whole package comes together. But before that, I just want to take a second to give a little shout out to Calibration Marketing. I'm the owner and chief marketing officer here, and the goal of Calibration Marketing is to fill this gap within the O&P industry and any other entities that really need marketing support, but do not have the ability to onboard somebody that is full-time. But they also need to do all the marketing things, and they also don't want to babysit somebody. So that's the kind of the gist of what we offer between content management, website projects, creating just being able to tell your story in the best way through your users, through what you do in your clinic and your practice, and talk about your clinicians and how you're different. So we always start with the why. And so with that in mind, I'm going to invite Giovanni on, and he can tell us a little bit about the why behind BionIT Labs and the Adams hand. So good morning. It's your
Hi,
afternoon.
Linda.
It's
afternoon, but it's okay. Thank you very much, Linda. Thank you for inviting me here. I'm really happy to speak with you about what Bionic Labs is, what the Adams hand is. Really enjoying this. So nice to meet you all, meet you all. I'm Giovanni, I'm the CEO of Bionic Labs. It's an Italian company dealing with bionics and human-machine integration. The company was founded now 6 years ago after my thesis project in bachelor engineering, in my industrial engineering. So I'm a mechanical engineer. And I started this project actually as a challenge. For a mechanical engineer, reproducing the human hand is one of the most fascinating things that you may do, actually. So after that, I involved my two co-founders, Federico, biomedical engineer, and information engineer, and then we founded the company in 2018. So then we started the project, the Adams hand, and we are now quite a bigger team, 30 people working, half of which are engineers, actually, and the other parts are sales, marketing, and operations. And we are now expanding on the market.
Yeah, it's been interesting to follow your journey, as I'm sure many have, of just seeing you guys walking around the trade show floors with your little suitcases and holding meetings. But I think it's a testament to you truly making sure that you understand the US market. It's obviously, as you know now, really entering this industry. There are a lot of similarities regardless of where you are globally for product feedback and things that may go wrong and things you need to make sure that you have, but every single market is so nuanced. So I certainly applaud the fact that you spent a significant amount of time doing that homework and living on airplanes and making sure that you really get this right. And it's not just another hand on the market. It's something, there's a need for all of them, but there's something very different about the Adams hand. And I know you'll go through some slides, which I think will be very informative for everybody listening. If they weren't able to attend those shows or have just been looking to learn more. But before we get into that, I know there's three key differentiators for the Adams hand. I don't know if you want to talk to these here just a little bit, and then we'll jump into what you wanted to go through.
Sure, of course. So the main feature about our device is the mechanism we have developed that allows us to move all the fingers with just 2 motors. This leads to an adaptive grip, meaning that patients do not have to select any grip pattern with muscle contraction, like it happens with all the other bionic hands on the market. The same mechanism allows us also to have a really compliant grip, meaning that mechanical compliant grip, meaning that the end is really, really durable. At the same time, it's filter visible, it's waterproof, so even the customer support is really, really important for us. I mean, we know that clinicians' time is precious, so we don't want to waste their time by sending back and forth the end, by losing time in repairs, replacing the coverings, the fingers, and so on. So the main repairs can be done in less than 5 minutes, and this is really important.
Yeah, field serviceability
for sure. Europe and US, the problems are almost the same. The way they are solved can be a bit different, maybe.
Right. Yeah, those are those nuances and what people are willing to put up with and not. And I know you guys are building out a US team here. I think some folks may have seen that you're really expanding things. So that's definitely encouraging to know that you don't, if there is something wrong, that you're not sending things halfway around the world.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll have a stock there. Of course, we are now opening our US headquarters too. We still have to set everything, but it's really, really exciting. We really want to give the best service we can to our customers there. So we know that's important to be there physically. Nice ride, for sure.
Yeah, no, before we jump into your slides, I know it's definitely an undertaking to really, there's the concept, right? And the idea and the eventual making of the product that people want, and you've collected feedback. And then it's the, okay, well, we've got that down, but then it's the, okay, but then what? How are we going to support those people, those clinicians, those users, everybody that is going to experience this particular product, and how to do it in the most sensible way, both for your teams, that they're not stressed and scrambling, as well as for everybody that is on the receiving end. And that's
of course. But it's even more important for the company itself to get this feedback, because this way you can really increase your economies of scale, also in terms of support to customers, patients. It makes the difference. I think continuous iteration is the best way to go in market like this one. When you are really at the age of what. So, the human hand is a really intricate trade-off of force, speed, weight, robustness, durability. I mean, to find the perfect balance is really, really hard. So when gathering feedback, you can really move into the space which is more important for your customers and your patients. And this is what we are doing since our inception. Above all, the last year, on the market. So we entered the market in Europe last year, 1 year ago now. So the last
year that's recent for you as well.
Yeah. After 5 years of research and development. So last year we got tons of feedback. I mean, the end really improved a lot in the last year. So I mean, we'll do it continuously because we really care about improving time over time. So that's really important for us.
Yeah. Sure. Well, and I think it's also, it's easier for a relatively smaller company such as yours, or any of these smaller startups that are in the market right now, to implement a lot of the feedback that you're hearing. You're not jumping through as many hoops. You just, you collect it, you make sense of it, and you do it. And you make sure that it's the right thing, and it's not just, providing Band-Aids or sometimes obviously it takes years to implement something because you want to make sure to do it right. But to know that what a clinician is telling you, or what a number of clinicians are telling you, is going to be seen maybe in the next version or the version after that, is a good feeling, because oftentimes it takes a long, long time.
Of course. I will show you something later on the slides, but we generally separate hardware and software updates. So we have remote firmware updates and remote connection to the end. So we can really, every 2 months, generally, we release a new firmware update.
Oh, wow.
With all new functionalities that we gather, the suggestions we gather from clinicians, from patients, so it's really nice. But also in terms of hardware, every time we take back a hand or every time we improve something, we replace it on all the ends. So, it's always, you can always have the most updated version, both software, on the software side and on the hardware side, at your fingertips, literally. And this helps us too in saving costs because things are even more durable. So you replace less, you ship back and forth less. So I mean, it's a continuous. Everything is a continuous improvement.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. That's really great to hear. We'll certainly jump into your slides, but I don't know if you want to, while we're kind of here on a larger screen, if you want to show the hand and how it works. Otherwise, it'll be hard to see.
So here we have our demo unit, which is just needed to operate the hand with a joystick or with the electrodes, if you want.
Which is also critical to have.
Yeah, exactly. And we also have our battery system, external battery system. So the main features you can get is that when you hand grip an object, even if the object is moving within the hand, the fingers automatically readjust. This means that the contact forces are always distributed evenly among all the contact points. So the grip is really, really firm, always. And this also means that the patient has to compensate less, because if you're gripping this object this way or the other way, the grip will always be stable in the same way. So it's really nice. For the same reason, the fingers are highly compliant, so they compensate each other movements, you see. So it really resists high stresses too, both in the flexion direction, like generally all the other Bionic can do, but also in the extension one. This means that it behaves like a soft device, even if it's rigid, actually. So this improves the, the anthropomorphism of the device. You see, if you remove something or you grip something with a particular shape, it's really, really natural. And patient tends to interact more with this kind of devices. This is scientifically proven. So, we are trying to create a biomimetic device in terms of forces, speeds, and this is actually inspired by the synergistic behavior of the human hand. So when you grip something with the human hand, you don't really think about, okay, am I going to move this finger? I'm going to move the other one, and so on. There are a sort of synergies which are inbuilt into the hand, let's say, and into the way we control our own hand. So you just need basically 2 or 3 grips to do everything you need. 2 synergies are enough to reproduce 80% of the human hand movement of activities of daily life. So, we try to move differently from adding 5, 10, 20, 30 grips.
Oh, they're huge.
To open, close, the hand automatically adapts, and it's done. Really, really easy. So the psychological load is much lower. The muscle fatigue is much lower. And then at the end of the day, the patient enjoys much more the use of the device. And this should lead to less rejection, to a lower rejection rate, and to a higher device embodiment, which is the main topic we are focusing on.
Yeah. Could you show, because I thought it was fascinating when I saw it at the Academy show, could you show how the thumb kind of drives everything with that gyroscope that's in there?
Yeah, of course.
That I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah. So when the hand is pointing forward and the thumb is in a position, you get a standard treble grip. Okay?
Which is a nice tripod grip. Nice alignment.
If the hand is pointing forward, the finger will close before the thumb so that you get a hook grip. So depending on the hand position in space and on the thumb position in space, you get different grip. So no muscle contraction needed. It's just a matter of what the patient is going to do. The hand will adapt to it. It's always about being adaptive, really, bringing the patient in the loop, let's say. So really easy to use.
No, it's all definitely answers the question of how is it unique to what else is on the market. So with that, I will add your slides in if you'd like to drive and kind of walk everybody through the presentation, and I'm sure there will be, again, we encourage people to ask questions and interact, and we'll make sure to answer them.
Nice, thank you very much. So first of all, the team. For us, the team is everything, you know. When you really have a committed team, you can reach any result you aim for. So basically, the team, the project was born with the same aim of all the other, I think, colleagues we have in this market, colleagues and competitors, let's say. So building a future where technology can really help mankind creating a more equitable and accessible world. And I think this is the most important thing, because when you apply this way of thinking to what you're building, it really changes the game. So small ID card about a company, of course, MedTech, Bionics and AI, it's a field, founded at the beginning of 2018. We have a legal and operational headquarters in Soleto, which is a small town, maybe 3,000, 4,000 inhabitants, south of Lecce, which is the main one in the area. Beautiful city, beautiful countryside, beautiful sea. So I really invite you to visit.
Well, okay, no problem.
If you want, Linda, we can host you for sure, with pleasure. 32 people team, half of which are engineers. We are now expanding our team, as you were mentioning. So we are now hiring for a US sales and marketing director and for a US director of operations, but also in Europe for a sales and marketing director for Europe, and also 4 or 5 other figures we'll add on LinkedIn and other social media in the coming days and weeks. We entered the market last year in Europe, this year with AAOP in Chicago, in US too. Of course, we didn't design only the ADAM-10, but also its accessories, standard cell battery, wave electrodes, Myoelectric app, so the app both for patients and clinicians, and then Myo and demo unit. We have 6 patents on the technology, both on the algorithm, on the mechanics, on the electrodes, on the supply system. Almost everything is covered, and also 3 trademarks. And we're also certified with ISO 9001 and ISO 13485. So we really care about quality, you know. When dealing with such a product, you really have to have all the processes in place to really care about this topic. So
I'm going to take you down into the weeds for 1 second. With you offering electrodes and all the other componentry, does that, and maybe this is of no interest to our clinician friends, but some of the others that are in the market, does this still keep the device as a class 1 device, or because now there's this full kit, it makes it be a class 2?
So the end itself, it's compatible with any other supply system or electrodes on the market. So it's a class 1 medical device.
The
electrodes are class 2 medical devices. So we have to go through a 510(k) procedure. So they are actually in Europe, they are a class 1 medical device, while in US they are a class 2 medical device.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, that's quite an interesting difference actually. So we already sell them in Europe, but in US we have to go through this procedure, so that actually we'll start selling them in September, last quarter this year.
Okay. So all right. Keep going. I just, those are some of the things that I had to think about previously. And so it always, when bells go off, I have to ask.
Yeah, of course. Stop me at any time. Okay. So as I was telling you, the product range, standard cell battery is an external battery. Wave electrodes are standard analog electrodes, but thinner. So just 8 millimeters versus the standard of 1 centimeter. The Myo unit is a unit that you can use to test the patient Myo signals. The demo unit is the tower you see here to check the device functioning, to test it, and so on. And then we have an app for patients, for clinicians, sorry, Myoelectric Pro, and then app for patients, Myoelectric. You know, even in the interface of the app, we try to keep it as simple as possible, because people do not have to lose time using the app, but just to use the app in order to improve the end functioning. So really easy, an easy to use dashboard, a few buttons, and that's all.
Okay.
All these devices are fully compatible with third parties devices. So the end is compatible with third parties electrodes and supply system. The supply system itself, thunderstone battery, is compatible with other terminal devices and so on. So we are quite an open system, you know.
Yeah.
So the goal with which we started, was that of bridging the gap between 3 digital and multi-articulating hand. So we call 3 digital hands the standard Myo hand, you know, 1 degrees of freedom hand. So these devices actually have complementary pros and cons. So 3 digital hands are easier to use, while multi-articulating ones are generally more complex to use because you have to select the grip pattern before using it. 3 digital hands are generally more robust, while multi-articulating hands are delicate. 3 digital hands are more lightweight compared to multi-articulating ones. On the other side, bionic hands are more dexterous. Of course, 3 digital hands have just 1 degree of freedom and 1 degree of actuation. So, you know, not a lot of motions you can do. They are more anthropomorphic, and they have an opposable thumb, which is quite relevant for a lot of activities of daily life for people. So with the Adams hand, we try to combine the best aspects of both these devices categories. And to do so, we started from the main problem, in our opinion, associated to multi-articulating hands, to the currently available multi-articulating hands. So basically, they are quite difficult to use, of course, because again, you have to select the best grip pattern to before gripping, you know, an object. So cylindrical grip, spherical grip, tripod grip, and so on. This means that you generally need quite a lot of training to remember what to do in order to reach that particular grip pattern. And this also always translates in a higher psychological burden during use, and also to greater muscle fatigue. So both during learning and during use, people have to think about what they have to do, even before doing it. And you can see it because you can see that they are looking at the end in order to understand what it's going to do before gripping the object. Okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
With the Adams hand, you can see that they're looking at the object, not at the end. So that's immediately something that can make you understand what's the difference. Of course, these two topics leads to longer time to perform gripping action. And the prosthetic hand is almost never used in a spontaneous way. So the sound hand is always preferred, and the prosthesis become almost useless. That's why in this market, we have a high device rejection rate. So, you know, the majority of people basically using a prosthetic hand, after a while, leave it on the shelf. So this is the real big problem in this field. We solved this thanks to the mechanism we have developed. So as I was anticipating, it's a fully adaptive grip. So you don't need to select the grip pattern because it's the end which adapts to the shape of the object, and the grip is always really stable. So this fosters a natural control of the end with automatic adaptability to grasp object shapes and size. And in turn, this leads to improved ease of use and reduced learning time. The forces are automatically distributed among the fingers. So as I was showing you before, when you grip something, the fingers automatically readjust. This is impossible to obtain if you are controlling each single finger with a motor, because each single finger should know exactly where it is and should control automatically each single motor to reach a different state. Okay. Well, in this case, it's all a mechanical intelligence. So the finger really are all connected among them, and let's say that share these mechanical information almost instantaneously. So that's why you can really obtain a much more stable grip.
What about when it comes to, is that, again, a finger mechanism thing, or the open and close that you're flexing when it comes to gripping flimsy bottles of water versus a hard cup like this? Is it just a matter of the fingers adapting? Is there, how does that?
We also implement proportional control, but since the fingers automatically distribute forces, even if you are in direct control, the distribution of forces along the shape of the grasped object is much more regular. This means that it's much easier to grip stuff that can be damaged by stronger grips.
Okay.
As I was saying, it's a sort of standard special mechanical intelligence, you know. So the fingers know where they have to push more or less.
Gotcha.
And on top of that, you can also get proportional control to further increase this sense of control, let's say.
Okay. So, no, that's great. And if I can also address just one thing for if there are any users listening in terms of the high rejection rate, the other two things that we always talk about when it comes to these types of devices is a good socket or interface. And also, in a lot of cases, occupational therapy and making sure that the user knows the clinician has set realistic expectations, right? What you can or cannot achieve, because even your hand, no matter what device it is, what terminal device, it's not going to allow you to do all of the things that you're able to do with your sound hand. That's just the reality that we all live in today. But that socket interface oftentimes and lack of OT support is overlooked, and the user assumes that the hand is at fault. When too many times it's those other two things, and the manufacturer gets blamed. So it all has to come together. So I'm sure a lot through your training of clinicians and all of that sort of thing, it's all important.
Yeah, of course, it's fundamental. I mean, OTs and clinicians in general are the main part of this business. I mean, without them, it's quite impossible to do something like this. So what we try to do is to provide clinicians and OTs with some fitting protocols, some guides that help them in the initial setting of the device, which again is quite easy. But you know, when you have a step-to-step guide on how to do it, it's much more effective, let's say. But then it needs a lot of work on the OTs, on the clinicians, of course. That part of the job cannot be simplified, let's say, because I mean, it's really, really relevant.
And maybe while we were talking about the thumb technology, and obviously for anybody that's listening, we're going to go a little bit over the half-hour mark because it's all very important. But how do you view the bilateral limb loss population? Was a question that just came in when using the hand and the ability to change the thumb. I know some manufacturers will say, you know, you can just tap it against something hard. So
Adam's thumb is manual, but it's not a standard friction. So you cannot move it by simply trying to rotate it. You have to push and then
I'm going to hide this for a second so we can see you better.
So you have to push and then you can rotate. So when it's in place, it's really stable. So heavy objects do not risk to move inadvertently the thumb. While when it's up, it's really easy to move it, you know. So you don't risk to rotate the hand instead of moving the thumb. So it's not a standard friction mechanism, and this makes it more user-friendly for sure. In terms of bilateral amputation, of course, it's not as easy as for a monolateral amputee. But of course, you can bump into your body and replace the thumb position really easily, or bump into a surface and replace the thumb position. So you see, again, it's really easy. We have a couple of bilateral patients using it, and they didn't complain about the thumb. Of course, at the beginning, you need 5, 6, 10 minutes to understand how to do it, but then it's done.
Okay. Yeah. And I think the reality too is that maybe it's been seen in some marketing videos, but no bilateral user is going to use 2 of these on their hands. So it'll usually be some other adaptive device that they have on the other one that hopefully helps with that pushing motion. And we'll jump right back in, but there was one more question about the adaptability laterally between fingers to stretch and expand. If you can show that when we're looking at it.
So at the moment, we don't have any lateral compliance, but we are working on it.
Okay.
So not available at the moment, but it's in our future plans for sure.
Okay. Always improving.
Exactly.
All right, keep going. This has been great.
Yes. So all these features leads at the end of the day to improve device embodiment. And you can see it when people use these devices. I will show you some videos later when you can really see the relief on their faces, because you just have to do what you need to do, not to understand how to do it. So it's really, really nice. Basically, you get just one control command: open, close, and then infinite possibilities. As you can see, the end conforms perfectly to the shape of the object: sphere, cylinders, tools, fork, cups. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And on top of this mechanical intelligence, we have added a sort of artificial intelligence. Let's say it's a pattern recognition algorithm that allows the device to perfectly fit to each single patient muscle tone. So here you can see you have at first the standard procedure through which you're looking for the best myoelectric side to control the device. But after that, we get a calibration procedure. So the patient can run through a 15 seconds calibration. During the first step, he has to rest for 3 seconds. Then to close the hand, so contract wrist flexors and hold close for 5 seconds again. And at the end, on the opposite, to open the hand, so contract wrist extensors for 5 seconds. So basically what we do is we get the signals of both the electrodes at the same time. Once done, you just have to save, and it's done. The patient can already control the device without setting any threshold, any delay, nothing.
Interesting.
So it's really, really fast again. And it's already proportional. So you teach your patient how to open and close, you run the calibration procedure, and it's done. You don't have to do anything else. They can already use the end.
Okay.
This is why, actually, a 20-minute training is enough to master the device, even for first-time myo patients. Of course, I'm not speaking about occupational therapy. I'm not speaking about iteration, socket iteration. Yeah. I'm just speaking about end functioning.
Absolutely.
So you don't imagine, you don't have to remember what to do in order to select a grip pattern, okay? You just have to focus on what you want to do. And you can see the face of these patients, as I was telling you before. It's really different, the embodiment is much higher. What they can do after 5 minutes of using the end is really, it's crazy. And each time we learn something new, actually.
I'm sure, yeah.
Even when eating, when using a fork or a knife, the grip is really, really robust. I mean, generally, some patients tend to keep their hand below the table when eating because, they do not feel confident with it, and I can understand it. In this case, you can really see how firm is the grip when dealing with that. This is Philip, our German ambassador, and this is one test we had taking part to Cyberone challenges. Which
is congratulations on that.
Thank you very much. Yes, we scored the first place, actually. And it's really a great event, because it pushes you as a manufacturer to really improve the device, because it's an unbiased vision or, let's say, feedback on how good that device is at doing several activities of daily life. In this case, one of the tasks was, do it yourself. So using a hammer, a nail, wrench, and so on. And here you can see Philip that really mastered it. I mean, imagine doing so while having to decide which grip to use for any object. Because, a lot of time you give a lot of attention, or even in videos, you can see that the grip is already selected, and patient just operate it. But this way you are missing all the timing that's between different grips. Okay, a challenge like this one, where you are forced to compress the time as much as possible, really adds in this topic, which is always overseen. So, I mean, this is really important for sure. And here in these tasks, you can see really how easy it is for Philip to perform all his tasks. Philip is a congenital amputee, so he's using prosthetic hands, electric hands, bionic hands since he was 3 years old. So, quite expert with it for sure. And is now using the Adam Sense since 1 year. It was the first in Germany to use it, and it's doing great.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a huge proponent of every manufacturer trying to do these tasks, because I agree. I think that is the everyday example.
Yeah, exactly. And I would really invite other manufacturers to join these challenges, because they really push you to do better and better. Speaking about ambassadors, actually, I don't know if it may be interesting, but we are now looking for a US ambassador too. So if anyone following this webinar is interested, please contact us so that we can speak about it. Okay, so going forward, we are.
It's important. So as long as you have the time, this is all.
For me, it's not a problem. I'm enjoying it really much. So yeah, it's perfect. Thanks.
And it will be recorded, and everybody, if somebody has to drop off, they'll be able to view this later. It'll be on our YouTube and on the LinkedIn, so it is easily findable afterwards.
Nice. So some general info about the AMSAN 6 or 8.4 voltage, 6 ampere max current, 2 actuators, proportional control already enabled. We currently have the version with quick disconnect wrist and with short wrist, so 570, 530 grams. And it's EP67, so totally waterproof, thanks to the glove. Here you can see what I was talking to you about. So the compliance of the fingers. This, again, leads to even force distribution at all contact points. This means higher resistance to dynamic stresses that tends both to flex and extend the fingers. And this means a strong reduction in patient's compensatory movements too. So this is really, really important. Speaking about waterproof rate, the Adam Stand is totally water and dust proof. So it's waterproof across the wrist too. And this is obtained thanks to Adam Skin, which is our medical grade silicone glove that is reinforced with textile fibers. So this is another quite important topics. Bionic hands and gloves for bionic hands coverings are not really robust nowadays. And of course, this is linked to the high number of joints, active or passive joints you have in a bionic hand, to the activities that patients want to do, of course. So what we did is to integrate textile fiber inside the glove in order to make it really resistant to wear and tear. And actually, the glove is available in 3 different models: the basic one, the advanced, and the individual. For the individual, you can choose up to 5 different colors, and we ask you for the photos of your contralateral limb in order to make it really, really similar to your contralateral limb. So, in US, it's not so common to wear cosmetic gloves, but in Europe, it's quite different. I mean, this is one of those big differences you can see between the European and the US market.
Yeah.
All the trials we have done in US were always recast with a black glove or with a clear glove, never with a cosmetic glove. So that's quite representative too of the market differences we have.
And maybe the question could be asked here too. Someone asked if the fingertips are touchscreen compatible, and I know we had talked about that previously, but I'll let you touch on it.
Yeah, so not at the moment again, but we have a few ideas on that too. I think we'll go only for the index, not for all the fingers, because you can even make it worse if you have all the fingers which are touch capacity, even with a small device.
And I think most of the time, if it's a unilateral patient, they're typically holding the phone with a prosthetic hand and using their sound limb. So
it's much more relevant for bilateral patients.
Of all the things you had to address, to me, that's always it's on the list, but it's not at the top.
Exactly. Low priority for now, of course. When we get all the other things, that will be nice to have too. So the Adam Stand is built with really high resistance metal, and also the fingers are not actuated through leverages or tendons, but through gears, metal gears. So they are really, really robust. And you can get the max static load supporting the category. So you can go through up to 260 pounds of push down load through knuckles. You can go to up 90 pounds of end carry load. So you need, patients can really be, let's say not careless, but I mean, they can really use the end without thinking too much what they have to do. Even the force on the chassis, 75 kilos, so 160 pounds. So it's a really, it's a tank basically. And also in terms of grip force and speed, the speed is quite standard with the multi-bionic hand, standard bionic hand in the average, while the grip force of the thumb especially is 3 times higher than the average of the other bionic hands. So that's why when you shake the Adamson, you can really feel the difference. And this is really relevant when dealing with heavy objects or with a jar, for example. Having that additional boost in the grip force may be really relevant.
Sure.
Speaking about the fingers also feel serviceable. So it's really easy to remove the glove and show you. You can do it in less than 5 minutes.
Critical.
Here you can also see that the glove is quite resistant. You see, you don't have to care a lot when removing the glove, the covering. You can be quite quick with that. Then you
I'm glad you touched on the durability of gloves, because it's definitely a very sore subject for users, clinicians, and manufacturers alike. And there's been talks of making those coverings to be more like gardening gloves without making them be so bulky. So I think the addition of the textile fabric is a very interesting way to go.
Yeah, of course. So here you can see the fingers pops out, the new pops in, and it's done. It's just 1 bolt for each finger, so really easy. It's a long bolt, so you need a bit to tighten it, but I mean, it's quite easy. And then you can put back the glove. So again, you can replace the covers, all the fingers, thumb included, the coverings, the seal. It's really easy to do it. I'll show you again how to put back the glove. You don't have to put it in the oven. You can just put it back on the end. So it's really fast.
No, that's great.
And then it's back again, and you can use it at the end. Then, speaking about the app, so the companion software, this is Myoelectric Pro. Of course, here you can calibrate the end, as I showed you in the video before. You can help users train through a virtual model. You can see here. You can set the device functioning in every detail. You can check the device diagnostic and error log. You can have your patient database. You can download all the devices manuals, and you can also connect the Myo unit in order to check the patient signals, even if you don't have the end with you yet. So the Myo unit and the demo unit, we sell them to clinicians only, of course, not to the patient, because they can test the end functionality.
Okay.
We also have an app for patients, both Android and iOS. Here you can see again, as it's really easy to use, simple interface, really intuitive dashboard. And what we're doing right now is also developing some nice games to help patients train their muscle. In this case, it's a spaceship. You can move it sideways with your flexors or extensors muscles. You can shoot with a contraction. I mean, it's quite nice for patients to enjoy, a bit of training.
Definitely, yeah.
And then we go to the other accessories. I mean, electrodes, system.
One question on the apps, because I know it's something that comes up as well, is that remote accessibility for clinicians, and whether there's some apps out there that allow the user to do what is called a hand health check, and then they can screen grab that or do a FaceTime, and the clinician can figure out, okay, if something is wrong, if they need to send it in, or if it's a firmware thing or whatever. Others allow them to basically sync and do a screen share, and the clinician can see exactly what's going on in real time. Where do you kind of fall on that spectrum?
So right now we have remote firmware update. But you're making me anticipate this, that we would like to officially present it during OT World, actually, that will be next week.
That's fine.
But I can anticipate something. We are now implementing remote connection. So basically, the clinician, through his Myoelectric Pro app, will be able to remotely control the Adams hand when the patient is not in the clinic.
Okay.
So they can do whatever the patient can do, and even more. Like the end was, close to the clinician. So it's totally the same, and this will help a lot.
That's fantastic. Yeah, especially for those users that are in locations that they have to drive 2+ hours to their clinician, and it all for just maybe a 5-minute appointment at the end of the day. Exactly. That's huge. So now we know something ahead of OT Worlds, and that was the goal, right? That we can do this ahead of that meeting. I won't be able to attend, but this is, this is what the goal of this presentation and webinar is. For those that can't see you live, they can at least experience and learn more about the Adams hand, or visit you in Italy,
Exactly. So actually, during OT World, we'll have 2 or 3 more news we'll be able to share. So it's okay to share here, just in case.
Great. No, but keep going on the electrodes. I think one of the questions that will certainly come up, and you did touch on it already, is the compatibility with other components out on the market, as well as everybody always asks, well, is it compatible with coapt? So I'm sure you'll touch on that as well.
Sure, of course. So these are our EMG electrodes, wave electrodes, standard hypoallergenic medical grade steel contacts, waterproof and dustproof, again, IP67, 20% thinner than the market standard. So you generally have these kind of analog electrodes 1 centimeter thick. In this case, it's just 8 millimeters, so it means that you can manufacture thinner sockets, increasing patients' comfort. Replaceable suspension leg, gain level adjustment on the back, 50 and 6 years models available for Europe, US, and other countries. And of course, they are highly compatible with third parties terminal devices. So you can use it with any Myoelectric hand, any 3 digital or Bionic hand on the market.
Okay.
On the other side, the Adams hand is compatible with additional systems on the market, even with coapt, but on the analog connection with coapt.
Gotcha.
So you can use any analog electrode. You can use several pattern recognition systems. I mean, it's compatible because, we wanted to have an open system, meaning that each patient and each clinician has to choose the best combination of devices that fit that particular patient. So that's really important for us. Speaking about supply system, this is Thunder Cell battery, our interchangeable lithium-ion battery, 950 mAh capacity, 7.4 nominal voltage, 1 hour charging time through a USB-C Type-C connector. Again, totally waterproof, so IP67, available in 3 different colors, as you can see, black, white, beige. It features some smart functionalities. So as you can see here, we have 5 connectors. So 2 of them are used for digital communication with the Adams hand. So we use a standard quick disconnect wrist, but with a 6-band coaxial plug.
Okay.
So the battery communicates with the hand, improving the reliability of the whole system. We have haptic feedback into the battery too. So we have a vibration motor into the battery. So we didn't speak about it for the end. Actually, even for the end, we have haptic feedback on the end, and we have it on the battery too.
Okay.
We have the motion sensors inside. We'll use it in the future for several nice things that we'll disclose later on.
We'll wait.
We have remote firmware update for the battery too, and you can use it as a power bank with your smart devices too. So you can do whatever you want with the battery. Again, even these batteries compatible with third parties, terminal devices, electrodes, and so on. So full compatibility. Demo unit, it's a standard demonstration unit compatible with quick disconnect wrist. It can be controlled via the joystick, up and down, it's open and closed, sideways, if it's pronation supination, because you can also assemble a wrist rotator inside.
Okay.
You can connect two analog EMG electrodes so that the patient can control the hand even through the electrodes. And of course, it includes our thunder cell battery receptor. Last but not least, the Myo unit. So a Myoelectric signals testing unit, of course, it can connect via Bluetooth to Myoelectric Pro. It can plot the EMG signals both as a time plot, as you can see here, or if it's standing up as a bar plot, it's automatic. Again, this is compatible with all the major EMG electrodes on the market, and the battery is quite large. Again, it recharges through a USB-C Type-C connector.
Yeah.
So basically, in the US, the Adam stand is covered by Medicare by L688 code.
Yeah, which you just received, which is an undertaking. So that's also congratulations.
Thank you very much. We're really happy about these results because it means that it's really accessible to everyone who may need it. So by summing up everything, we can see that the main feature of the Adam stand are three: intuitive dexterity, unparalleled durability, and best-in-class customer support. In terms of dexterity, again, no grip selection needed, so you get lower cognitive load and lower muscle fatigue. You have integrated pattern recognition into the hand with any standard EMG electrodes for a more robust control. You get a fully adaptive grip for a firmer grip and less compensatory movement for patients. At the same time, you have the highest static load in category to increase the patient's confidence. You have improved compliance so that you get even dynamic stresses are less relevant for the hand. And it's waterproof and dustproof with P67. As regards the serviceability, again, field serviceable components, remote firmware update and connection, so you get a quick and effective repair and assistance. And we offer free of charge training and certification and free of charge trials, patient trials, to anyone who may want to try the Adam stand. In addition to that, we also get free hardware update for any new iteration of single components. So basically, we want you to seamlessly integrate the Adam stand in your practice. Now, Linda, if you want to know
I think one thing to also clarify for anybody, because I know again this is a question that comes up, is, and I think you've kind of talked about it in terms of that customer support, but loaners, because those there's been many times when a manufacturer can't support the need for a loaner, even though a device is field serviceable. There are times when you do need to do a swap. Do you have currently, will you have access to loaners for users? Are you building that up?
We have a standard loaner program, so annual checkup with loaner device provision.
Awesome.
It's standard, the same for repairs, for any repairs. We always ship you the loaner end, or we ship you the fingers. If you know that the fingers are the problem, you can swap them by yourself, because it's really easy, it's really fast. So it's, a loaner, of course, is provided.
Okay. Yeah. No, and I think that's again, it's critical to your success, and it's critical to the users and the clinicians feeling supported, and especially with the fact that you don't need to go through resetting up grips and those types of things with the loaner device. You can just make sure that you can open and close it, and it complies to whatever you're doing. So I know we're well over time. I should just schedule. Mental note, I need to schedule these things to just run for at least 45 minutes, because it's always good.
Exactly.
But as everybody heard here, obviously you're expanding the US team, you're hiring, you will be at OT World. For any users out there, whether they're users of a competitor product, which to me, yes, there is competition, but every device does things slightly differently. So it's a different experience. But if they're interested in working with you or learning more, they should reach out either via LinkedIn or on your website.
Website, LinkedIn, any social is okay.
Okay. And same thing for clinicians.
Exactly. So we have a clinician support page on our webpage, and also get the announcement page where you can download both the trial form and also the order form. So there you can find all the documents you need to set up everything.
Okay.
So well,
yeah, no, and with that, I'll just put up this closing slide. Thank you for everybody that joined us. Thank you for all the great questions that came up. Giovanni, thank you for your time. Our next webinar is on May 21st, and I'll be joined by Pam Kalad. She's, I'm probably butchering her last name, and she will tell me about it. But she was actually, I worked together with her at OSER. She leads a marketing course for the O&P certification course through AAOP. So we will be talking about all things marketing for clinics, for manufacturers, things like that. So I encourage you to join us. The sign-up will go up soon. But thank you again, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you very much, Linda. It was a pleasure.
Bye.
Bye-bye.